Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to English in Fluency. My name is Alex, and it is a genuine pleasure to have you here with me today. This is the place where our English skills grow, not by studying boring grammar rules, but by exploring big, beautiful ideas that can change the way we see the world. If you are on a journey to improve your English, to speak more confidently, to understand more clearly, then I want you to know that you have found the right place. You are not alone on this journey. In each episode we create together, we take a fascinating topic, and we discuss it using simple, clear English. The goal is twofold: to expand your vocabulary and your listening skills, and at the very same time, to expand your mind. Today, we are going to dive deep into an idea that I find incredibly powerful, an idea that has personally helped me navigate through life's challenges and opportunities. The idea is captured in a simple phrase: think in decades, act in days. Perhaps this is the first time you are hearing these words together. It might sound a little strange or confusing at first. That is perfectly okay. Great ideas often feel a little unfamiliar when we first meet them. Think of it like meeting a new person who will one day become a great friend. Our goal in this episode is to get to know this idea, to understand its personality, its strengths, and its wisdom. I will break it down for you, piece by piece, explaining exactly what it means, sharing stories and examples to bring it to life, and showing you how you can begin to use this simple philosophy in your own life, starting today. And of course, we will do all of this in English that is easy to follow and understand, so you can relax and absorb both the language and the lesson. So, find a comfortable spot, perhaps with a cup of tea or coffee. Take a deep breath, and let's begin this journey of learning together. I am truly happy you are here. Let's start by looking closely at that phrase, holding it up to the light to see all its different colors. Think in decades, act in days. It is a sentence of two parts, like two sides of a coin, and both are equally important. Let's begin with the first half. Think in decades. A decade, as you may know, is a period of 10 years. It can feel like a very long time, can't it? When we are children, 10 years feels like an eternity. But as we get older, we realize how quickly time can pass. To think in decades means to lift our eyes from the ground right in front of us and look far, far ahead to the horizon. It means we are not just planning for this weekend, or for next month's holiday, or even for next year. We are training our minds to think about the next 10 years, 20 years, or even more. It is about asking ourselves some of the biggest and most important questions in life. Questions like, in 10 years from now, who do I want to be? What kind of person do I hope to become? Will I be kinder, wiser, stronger? What important skills do I want to have learned? Perhaps I want to speak English fluently, play a musical instrument, or know how to code a website. What kind of life do I want to be living? Where might I be? What kind of work might I be doing? This is what we call long-term thinking. It is like being the captain of your own ship. You are not just reacting to the waves and the wind of today. You are looking at the map, choosing a distant island you want to reach, and setting your course. Now, let's turn the coin over and look at the second part of the phrase. Act in days. This is where the magic really happens. This part tells us that even though our vision is for the distant future, our work, our effort, happens right now, today. It means we should not wait for some perfect moment in the future to start. We do not say, I will start working on my dream next year, or I will begin when I have more time. No, we start today. We act in days. Every single day, we are encouraged to take one small, manageable step toward that big, beautiful dream on the horizon. This step doesn't have to be huge or dramatic. In fact, it's better if it isn't. Maybe that small step is reading just 2 pages of a book in English. Maybe it is learning 3 new vocabulary words. Maybe it is going for a 10-minute walk, or putting just a tiny amount of money into a savings account. These actions are so small, they might seem insignificant, almost meaningless. But they are not. They are the seeds of our future. When you perform these small actions consistently, every single day, they begin to build on each other, creating a powerful momentum that carries you forward. So, when we join these 2 parts together, we get the complete philosophy. Think in decades, act in days. It means to hold a grand, long-term vision for your life in your mind, but to focus your energy and attention on the small, simple actions you can take every single day to move closer to that vision. This idea is a beautiful solution to a very common human problem. Many people are dreamers. They have wonderful, inspiring goals for their future, but they get stuck in the dreaming phase. They think so much about the big goal that they become paralyzed and never take the first step. On the other hand, there are many people who are doers. They are incredibly busy every day, working hard, running from one task to the next. But because they have no long-term vision, no clear direction, all their hard work can feel chaotic and pointless. They are running fast, but they don't know where they are going. This phrase teaches us how to be both, a dreamer and a doer. It teaches us to have a big, beautiful destination in mind, and to also focus on taking the very next step on the path that leads there. Throughout our conversation today, we will explore this powerful idea from every angle. I will share more stories, more examples, and more practical tips to help you make this idea a real and active part of your life. And remember, as you listen, you are already practicing. You are already taking a small step today to improve your English. That is the beauty of our time together at English in Fluency. We grow in 2 ways at once. Let's dive deeper. Let's spend some more time with the first half of our guiding principle. Think in decades. As we've established, this is the practice of long-term thinking. It is about becoming an architect of your own life, not just a person who lives in a house someone else built. An architect doesn't start by hammering nails into wood. An architect begins with a vision, a dream. They create a blueprint, a detailed plan for what the final building will look like. They think about where the windows will go to catch the morning sun, how the rooms will connect to create a feeling of openness, and how the foundation will be strong enough to last for 100 years. Thinking in decades is the process of creating the blueprint for your life. It allows you to design a future that is intentional, a future that you have chosen, rather than a future that simply happens to you. This kind of thinking helps you to stay focused on your most important, deeply held goals. It acts as a compass, always pointing you toward your true north, so you do not get lost in the small, temporary distractions and problems of daily life. Let me offer you an analogy that might make this clearer. Imagine you decide you want to plant a beautiful, strong oak tree in your garden. You go to the store and you buy a tiny seed, a small acorn. When you plant that little acorn in the ground, You know you will not see a giant tree the next day. You know it will not provide shade for you next summer. You understand deeply that growing a great tree takes time. You have to care for the young sapling. You have to water it, protect it from storms, and wait patiently for many, many years. The reward for your patience and care is a magnificent tree that will stand for generations. If you only think about today, you might never plant the acorn. It's too much work for a reward that is too far away. Thinking in decades is what gives you the wisdom and patience to plant the tree today, because you can imagine the beautiful shade it will provide in the future. Our lives work in exactly the same way. The important things, a fulfilling career, good health, strong relationships, financial security, are like oak trees. They don't appear overnight. If we don't think about our future, we often forget to do the small but essential things today that are necessary for our growth tomorrow. Thinking in decades encourages us to make better choices in the present moment so that we can enjoy a richer, more stable, and more joyful life later on. To make this concept even more concrete, let's explore it through the stories of some fictional characters. Let's first meet Maria. Maria is in her early 20s and works in a coffee shop. She is a talented artist and dreams of becoming a professional graphic designer, creating beautiful logos and websites for businesses. Right now, this dream feels very far away. She doesn't have a formal education in design, and she only knows the very basics. If Maria only thinks about today, she might feel hopeless. Her dream is so big, and her current reality is so different. But Maria decides to try thinking in decades. She asks herself, okay, forget about tomorrow. Where do I want to be in 10 years? She imagines herself at 32. She sees herself working in a bright, creative studio, maybe even her own. She is confident in her skills. She is proud of the work she has created. She has a portfolio of beautiful designs. This 10-year vision becomes her North Star. It doesn't scare her anymore. It inspires her. It helps her to be patient with herself today. She knows she won't become an expert designer overnight, but her long-term vision gives her the motivation to start learning, little by little, even when it feels slow and difficult. Now, let's consider another character, Leo. Leo is in his late 20s. He has a busy office job, and for years he hasn't paid much attention to his health. He often eats fast food for lunch, drinks sugary sodas, and his only exercise is walking to his car. He feels okay for now, but he sometimes feels tired and sluggish. Most people only think about their health when they get sick, when something goes wrong. But Leo stumbles upon the idea of thinking in decades. He asks himself a powerful question. What can I do now so that the 50-year-old version of me will be strong, healthy, and full of energy? He imagines himself at 50. Does he want to be a man who gets tired walking up a flight of stairs? Does he want to be on medication for problems that could have been prevented? Or does he want to be an active, vibrant man who can play with his future children or grandchildren, go hiking, and enjoy life to the fullest? This long-term perspective completely changes his choices today. He doesn't go on a crazy diet or start training for a marathon. He simply decides to start making small, sustainable changes. He decides to pack a healthy lunch twice a week. He decides to drink a bottle of water before his morning coffee. He decides to take the stairs at work instead of the elevator. These small habits, practiced over many years, will have a massive impact on his future health. He is taking care of the future Leo, starting today. Finally, let's think about our relationships through the story of Sam. Sam has a younger brother, and they are generally close, but life gets busy. They don't talk as often as they used to. Recently, they had a small disagreement over something silly, and now there is a bit of awkward silence between them. If Sam only thinks in the short term, he might let his pride win. He might wait for his brother to apologize first. He might think, "We'll get over it eventually." But if Sam applies long-term thinking, his perspective shifts. He asks himself, in 10 years, do I want to be close to my brother? Do I want him to be my best friend? Do I want us to be there for each other through life's ups and downs? The answer is a clear and resounding yes. That long-term vision makes the small argument today seem truly insignificant. It motivates him to pick up the phone, to be the first one to say, "Hey, I'm sorry about our argument. You're my brother, and I love you." Thinking in decades helps us invest in our relationships. It teaches us to forgive more quickly, to listen more deeply, and to show our love more openly, because we understand that strong relationships are one of the greatest treasures we can have over a long life. So, why is this long-term thinking so fundamentally important? The answer is quite simple. It is because life is not a sprint. It is a marathon. The most valuable and meaningful things in life take time to build. If we only think about what feels good this minute, this week, or this month, we will almost always choose the easy path, not the best path. For example, watching another episode of a TV show is easier and more immediately pleasurable than studying English vocabulary. Eating a bag of potato chips feels good right now, but it's a poor investment in your long-term health. Long-term thinking gives us the strength to say no to cheap, short-term pleasure and to say yes to the deep, lasting satisfaction of long-term success. It is not always the easy choice, but it is always the worthwhile choice. Furthermore, this perspective brings a profound sense of calm into our lives. When a small thing goes wrong today, you fail a small test, you have a difficult conversation, you make a mistake at work, it can feel like the end of the world. But when you are thinking in decades, you have a wider perspective. You remember that your life is a long and complex story. One bad day is just one page in a 1,000-page book. It is a tiny, pixelated dot in the grand, beautiful painting of your life. This long-term view helps us to become more patient with ourselves and with our progress. It helps us stay focused on our destination, and it fills us with a quiet, steady hope. We begin to understand a universal truth. Everything big starts small. Every expert you admire was once a complete beginner. Every great success story is built on years of quiet, unseen effort. And every single step, no matter how small it feels, truly matters when you are walking a long and meaningful road. Thinking in decades does not mean you need to have every single detail of your future planned out. Life is full of surprises, and that is part of its beauty. It simply means having a clear sense of direction, a guiding star to navigate by. It means knowing in your heart what kind of life you want to build, and then using that vision to make wiser, better choices today. Without that long-term vision, we can easily drift through life, feeling lost and aimless. We might spend years of our precious time on things that, in the end, don't truly matter to us. But when we think in decades, we give our time meaning. We give our daily actions a purpose. The first essential part of this philosophy, thinking in decades, is all about seeing the grand picture. It is about being a wise and kind friend to your future self. It is about allowing yourself to dream big, not just for next month, but for the next chapter of your life. And most importantly, it's about believing, truly believing, that your future is a beautiful thing worth planning for. Now that we have a firm grasp on the importance of creating a long-term vision, of thinking in decades, we must turn our attention to the second, equally crucial part of the philosophy. Act in days. This is the part that transforms our dreams from just ideas floating in our minds into real, tangible progress in the world. If thinking in decades is the architect's blueprint, then acting in days is the process of laying one brick perfectly every single day. It reminds us that no matter how grand our goals are, the only way to make progress is by taking small, consistent actions in the present moment. Thinking, by itself, is not enough. We must also do. We must translate our intentions into actions, even if those actions feel incredibly small. So many of us are filled with wonderful ambitions. We have dreams of starting a business, of learning a new language like English until we are fluent, of writing a book, or of becoming physically fit and strong. These are beautiful, worthy goals. But where do so many of us get stuck? We wait. We wait for the right time to begin. We tell ourselves stories like, "I will start going to the gym next month, after my big project at work is finished," or, "I am too busy and tired today to study English. I'll do it on the weekend when I have more energy." The profound truth that the Act in Days principle teaches us is that the perfect time to begin will never arrive. The perfect time is an illusion. The best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is right now. The most effective way to make progress toward any large goal is by committing to doing a little bit every single day. When we say act in days, it is very important to understand that we are not talking about performing huge, difficult, or heroic tasks every day. That would be impossible and would lead to burnout very quickly. Instead, we are talking about taking small, simple, almost effortless steps. These are the kinds of steps that are very easy to do, but because they are so easy, they are also very easy not to do. And that is the trap where most people fall. They skip the small actions because they don't seem important. But the secret is this: when we perform these tiny actions every single day, they transform from conscious efforts into unconscious habits. And over the long expanse of time, those small, consistent habits are what build extraordinary results. Let's revisit our characters and see how they apply this principle. Remember Maria, who dreams of being a graphic designer in 10 years? That is her decade-long vision. But how does she act in days? She does not enroll in an expensive, full-time design course that she doesn't have the time or money for. Instead, she commits to just 15 minutes of learning each day. On Monday, she watches a short YouTube tutorial on a specific design technique. On Tuesday, she practices drawing simple shapes for 15 minutes. On Wednesday, she reads one article about color theory. On Thursday, she tries to recreate a logo she likes. These actions, in isolation, seem tiny. 15 minutes a day? It feels like nothing. But if she does this every day for a year, she will have spent over 90 hours learning and practicing design. That is more than 2 full weeks of full-time work. It is not about doing everything at once. It is about doing something consistently, every day. Now think about Leo and his 10-year goal of being a healthy, vibrant 50-year-old. He doesn't need to suddenly start running for an hour every day and eating only salads. That kind of drastic change is rarely sustainable. How does he act in days? Today, he might simply decide to add a handful of spinach to his dinner. Tomorrow, he might go for a brisk 10-minute walk during his lunch break. The day after, he might make sure he gets to bed 15 minutes earlier than usual. These are incredibly small actions, but they are building blocks. Drinking more water, moving his body a little more, sleeping a little better. When these become daily habits, they create a powerful positive cycle. He starts to have more energy, which makes him feel more like exercising. He starts to feel healthier, which motivates him to make better food choices. You do not need to be perfect to be healthy. You just need to be consistent. And what about Sam, who wants to maintain a strong relationship with his brother over the next decade? His daily or weekly action is profoundly simple. It could be sending a funny text message or a photo from his day. It could be a commitment to a 5-minute phone call every Sunday just to check in and say hello. These are not grand gestures. He is not flying across the country for a surprise visit every month. But these small, consistent points of contact are like threads. Woven together over years, they create a strong, unbreakable rope of connection and love. The reason this daily action is so incredibly powerful is because it builds something that psychologists call momentum. Momentum is the force of a moving object. When you take a small step today and another tomorrow, you start to build forward movement in your life. You begin to feel a sense of progress. Even a tiny bit of progress makes you feel more confident and more motivated. You feel like you are growing, and that feeling is addictive. It makes you want to keep going, to take the next small step. Big goals can often feel scary and overwhelming. We look at the top of the mountain and it seems so far away that we don't even know where to begin. But if we break it down and focus only on what we can do today, the task becomes manageable. You don't have to worry about climbing the entire mountain in one day. Your only job is to take the next step. That is it. That is how every great journey is completed. One small, simple step at a time. Another beautiful benefit of daily action is that it gives you a feeling of control over your life. Life can often feel chaotic, busy, and unpredictable. Things happen that are outside of our control. But when you consciously choose to take one small action each day that is aligned with your long-term goals, you are sending a powerful message to yourself. You are saying, I am in charge of my direction. I am not just a passive passenger waiting for life to happen to me. I am an active creator of my own future. This feeling of personal agency gives you immense strength and self-confidence. There is a common misconception that big, life-altering changes must come from big, dramatic actions. But this is rarely true. More often, the most profound changes in our lives come from the small, almost boring actions that we repeat, day after day, year after year. It is exactly like brushing your teeth. If you brush your teeth for 2 minutes just one time, it does absolutely nothing for your long-term dental health. But because you do it every single day, twice a day, for your entire life, it has a massive protective effect. The same principle applies to your goals. One 15-minute English study session may not feel like much, but when you repeat it every day, it changes everything. It builds your future. So, please remember this. Acting in days is not about speed. It is not about intensity. It is about consistency. It is about showing up for yourself, for your dreams, even on the days you don't feel like it. It is about the quiet discipline of building good habits, little by little. When you embrace this practice, you will start to see results. Maybe not tomorrow, and maybe not next week. But eventually, the results will come, and they will be significant and long-lasting. To act in days means to use each day as an opportunity, as a gift. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. You can ask yourself this simple question each morning. What is one small thing I can do today to move just 1 inch closer to my long-term goal? Then, just do that one thing. That is how you grow. That is how you build a better future, brick by brick. So now you can see that acting in days is about harnessing the incredible power of daily, consistent action. It is the steady, daily effort that ultimately creates long-term success. It is not magic. It is not luck. It is the simple, beautiful, and powerful discipline of daily action. We have now explored the two individual components of our philosophy, the grand vision of thinking in decades and the practical application of acting in days. But the true, transformative power of this idea is not found in either part alone. It is found in the way they connect and work together. The magic happens at the intersection of your big dreams and your small daily actions. Let's spend some time understanding why this combination is so incredibly effective and how it can fundamentally change your life for the better. The first reason this idea is so powerful is because it bridges the gap between two very different worlds that people often live in. On one side, you have the world of dreams. Many people live here. They are full of big plans, wonderful goals, and inspiring visions for their future. They can talk for hours about the business they want to start, the book they want to write, or the person they want to become. But they remain stuck in this world of thought. They don't take action. They are always waiting for the right moment, for more information, for a sign from the universe. They are dreamers, but not doers, and so their dreams remain just dreams. On the other side, you have the world of action. Many other people live here. They are constantly busy, always working, always moving. Their to-do lists are endless, but they often lack a clear long-term direction. They are working hard, but they are not sure if they are working on the right things. They might be climbing a ladder, but they don't know if the ladder is leaning against the right wall. Both of these paths can lead to feelings of frustration, confusion, and being stuck. But when you combine thinking in decades with acting in days, something extraordinary occurs. You create a direct, powerful link between your long-term goals and your immediate actions. Your daily tasks are no longer random or meaningless. They become infused with purpose. Every small action becomes a vital part of a much larger, more beautiful picture. For example, let's go back to Maria, who wants to be a graphic designer. If she spends 15 minutes today learning a new skill in a design program, that action is not just playing on the computer. Because she holds her 10-year vision in her mind, that 15-minute session becomes a meaningful act. It is a building block for her future career. It is a small but significant step on her path. This is the core power of the idea. It turns mundane, everyday tasks into heroic steps on your personal journey. Another reason this combination is so potent is because it is the most effective way to build what we can call success habits. As we've discussed, habits are the actions we perform automatically, without needing to use much willpower or conscious thought. We all have habits, some good and some bad. But we can intentionally design and build habits that lead us toward success. When you commit to taking a small, specific action every single day, you are consciously carving a new neural pathway in your brain. At first, it requires effort and discipline. You have to remind yourself to do it. But after a few weeks of repetition, the action starts to become easier. After a few months, it becomes automatic. It becomes a part of who you are. Imagine building the habit of waking up just 20 minutes earlier to study English, or the habit of reading 10 pages of a book before bed, or the habit of writing down 3 things you are grateful for each day. At first, these seem like small, insignificant changes, but when you perform them consistently for months, and then for years, these habits become incredibly powerful forces that shape your character, your skills, and your entire future. They bring you, step by step, closer to the person you envisioned in your 10-year plan. Let's look at a couple of detailed stories about how this synergy works in real life. Imagine a man named David, whose 10-year dream is to open his own small, independent coffee shop. He doesn't want just any coffee shop. His vision is to create a warm, welcoming community space that serves ethically sourced, high-quality coffee. This is his decade-long dream. It's huge. He has no experience in business and very little money saved. But David doesn't get overwhelmed. He starts to act in days. His daily actions are tiny. He starts by reading one article about a different type of coffee bean each day. He starts putting aside the cost of 1 cup of coffee, just a few dollars, into a savings account every single morning. He starts a weekend habit of visiting different local coffee shops, not just to drink coffee, but to observe. He watches the baristas. He looks at the decor. He listens to the customers. Years go by. His daily reading makes him an expert on coffee. His tiny daily savings, combined with the power of compound interest, grow into a respectable sum for a down payment. His weekend observations give him a clear idea of what works and what doesn't. After 7 or 8 years of these small, consistent actions, he is finally ready. He has the knowledge, the money, and the plan. His 10-year vision became a reality not through one giant leap, but through thousands of tiny, purposeful steps. Or consider Isabella, a young woman who works as a school teacher. Her secret, decade-long dream is to write a fantasy novel for young adults. The idea has been in her head for years, a whole world of characters and magic. But the thought of writing a 300-page book is terrifying. So, she decides to act in days. She makes a simple rule for herself. She will write just 300 words every day. That's it. Some days, the words flow easily, and she writes more. On other days, when she is tired and uninspired, writing even 300 words feels like a struggle. But she sticks to her rule. 300 words, no matter what. She doesn't worry about making it perfect. She just gets the words down. Day after day, week after week, the pages slowly accumulate. After about a year, she has a complete, messy first draft. It's not perfect, but it exists. Her big, scary dream of a book has become a real thing that she can hold in her hands. It happened because she connected her grand vision to a small, non-negotiable daily action. These stories illustrate that success is rarely a single dramatic event. It doesn't usually happen in one big moment of breakthrough. Success is the gradual, slow accumulation of many small, wise choices, repeated consistently over a long period of time. That is why this philosophy is so perfectly suited for a long and difficult journey like learning a new language. Your decade-long vision is to achieve fluency in English. You want to be able to watch movies without subtitles, have deep conversations with native speakers, and travel the world with confidence. That is a beautiful and inspiring dream. But you will not become fluent overnight. Fluency is the result of thousands of small daily actions. It is the result of listening to a podcast like this one when you are tired. It is the result of learning 5 new vocabulary words each day. It is the result of practicing your pronunciation for 10 minutes in front of a mirror. It is the result of having the courage to try to speak, even when you are afraid of making mistakes. Each of these small actions is a brick, and day by day, you are building the beautiful house of your English fluency. This mindset gives you the 3 things you need most for any long journey: patience, direction, and hope. It gives you patience because you are not expecting instant results. You know that you are planting a tree, not a weed. It gives you direction because your daily actions are not random. They are guided by your long-term vision. And it gives you hope because you can see that even on the days when you make very little progress, you are still moving forward. You are not just living day by day with no plan. And you are not just dreaming with no action. You are actively building your future. You are growing. And that feeling provides a deep sense of meaning and purpose to your daily life. It gives you a reason to wake up each morning and try your best. So now you can truly see why this idea is not just a clever phrase, but a profound and practical guide to life. It teaches us that our future is forged in the small moments of today. And every single moment matters. Even the smallest step taken today is infinitely more powerful than the grandest plan for tomorrow. Remember, small steps, taken consistently every day, inevitably lead to massive, life-changing results in the future. Now that we have a deep understanding of what it means to think in decades and act in days, and why this combination is so powerful, it's time for the most important question of all. How can you actually start using this idea in your own life? How do you take this beautiful concept and turn it into a practical daily routine? The good news is that you don't need to make any drastic, sudden changes to your life. The entire philosophy is about starting small. You can begin today, right after you finish listening to this episode. The very first step is to give yourself the gift of quiet time to think. Find a few minutes, maybe just 15 or 20, where you can be alone and undisturbed. Take out a piece of paper and a pen, or open a new note on your phone, and just allow yourself to dream. This is the think in decades part. Ask yourself those big questions we talked about earlier. What kind of life do you genuinely want to be living in 10 years? Don't worry about being realistic or practical at this stage. Just let your imagination wander. Where do you see yourself living? What kind of work brings you a sense of purpose and joy? What skills have you mastered? How do you feel in your body? Are you healthy and energetic? What do your relationships with family and friends look like? Write down whatever comes to your mind. Your answers don't need to be perfect or detailed. The goal is simply to start painting a picture of your desired future. This picture will become your personal vision, your North Star. You don't have to show this to anyone. It is for you alone. But having this vision is the essential first step because it gives your life a clear direction. Once you have a general idea of your long-term goals, the next step is to immediately bring your focus back to the present moment, right back to today. This is where you begin to act in days. Look at your big 10-year vision. Now, ask yourself this simple, powerful question. What is one tiny, ridiculously small action I can take today to move just 1 millimeter closer to that vision? The truth is, most people get stuck here. They look at their big dream and feel overwhelmed. It seems too far away, too difficult. But remember, your job is not to achieve the entire dream today. Your only job is to take one small step. Let's walk through a few practical examples. Let's imagine your 10-year vision includes having a more fulfilling and successful career, perhaps even in a new field. That is your long-term goal. So, what is a small action you can do today? You could spend 10 minutes on a website like LinkedIn, just looking at the profiles of people who have the job you want. What skills do they have? What was their career path? Or maybe you could watch one short educational video on YouTube related to your field of interest. Or you could simply write down 5 specific skills you would like to learn over the next few years. If you repeat a tiny action like this every day, after 1 year, you will have accumulated a significant amount of knowledge and clarity. You didn't need to quit your job or go back to school full-time. You just needed to show up for 10 minutes each day. Now, let's take the area of personal health. Perhaps your long-term vision is to have more energy, to feel strong in your body, and to maintain a healthy weight. That is a wonderful goal. But you don't need to start a punishing fitness regime or throw out all the food in your kitchen. Today, you can begin by taking a 10-minute walk during your lunch break. You could drink 1 extra glass of water. You could choose to eat a piece of fruit instead of a sugary snack. These small changes might seem insignificant at first, but they are not. They are powerful because they are repeatable. They can easily become habits. And over time, those habits will completely transform your future health. And now, let's talk about the very reason you are here today. Your journey with the English language. Your long-term, decade-level goal is clear. You want to achieve a high level of fluency and confidence in English. That is a fantastic dream. But sometimes, you might feel like your progress is too slow. You might get tired or frustrated. This is completely normal. It happens to every single language learner. This is precisely where the think in decades, act in days mindset can become your superpower. Your big dream is fluency. So, ask yourself, what is one small thing you can do today? Can you listen to one short English podcast like this one? Can you read just 1 page of a book or a news article in English? Can you learn 3 new vocabulary words and try to use them in a sentence? Can you practice speaking out loud, by yourself, for just 5 minutes? If you commit to doing just one of these small things every single day, I promise you, your English will improve. It might feel slow at times, but it is working. The secret is to keep going, especially on the days when you don't see immediate results. Remember our analogy. You are growing a strong oak tree, not a flimsy weed. It takes time, but the result will be magnificent and lasting. Here is a very practical tip to help you stay on track. Get a simple notebook or use an app on your phone and start tracking your daily actions. At the end of each day, just write down the one small thing you did. For example, today, I learned 5 new English verbs. Or, today, I went for a 15-minute walk. This practice does 2 wonderful things. First, it holds you accountable. Second, and more importantly, it allows you to see your progress over time. After a few months, you can look back at your log and you will be amazed. You will see that all those small daily actions have added up to something substantial. Seeing that proof of your own effort and consistency will make you feel incredibly proud and motivated to continue. One final piece of advice as you begin this journey. Please, be kind to yourself. You are human. There will be days when you are too busy. There will be days when you feel sick or tired. There will be days when you simply forget. It's okay. You do not have to be perfect. The goal is not to have a perfect, unbroken chain of daily actions. The goal is to be consistent over the long term. If you miss a day, do not criticize yourself. Do not feel guilty. Just simply start again the next day. What matters most is that you do not give up on your vision. Trust the process. Believe in the power of small, consistent steps. So, to summarize how you can start using this mindset in your own life. Begin by dreaming. Give yourself time to create your 10-year vision. Then, immediately bring your focus back to the present. Identify one tiny action you can take right now, in the next 5 or 10 minutes, that moves you a little closer to that dream. That is your daily action. That is how real, lasting change happens. Not in one giant, dramatic moment, but in thousands of small, simple, courageous steps, taken day after day. You don't need to wait for more time, more money, or a perfect moment. You have everything you need to begin right now. Use what you have. Do what you can. Take that one small step today. Your future self will be profoundly grateful that you did. Before we conclude our discussion, I believe it's incredibly helpful to talk about some of the common mistakes or traps that people fall into when they try to apply this philosophy of think in decades, act in days. Being aware of these potential pitfalls can help you to avoid them and ensure that your journey is as smooth and successful as possible. One of the most significant mistakes is getting stuck in short-term thinking. This is the default mode for many people in our modern world. We are constantly surrounded by things that promise instant gratification. Fast food, on-demand entertainment, social media notifications. This environment trains our brains to prioritize what feels good right now and to ignore the long-term consequences. This way of living makes it nearly impossible to achieve big, meaningful goals. If your dream is to become fluent in English or to build a successful career, a mindset focused only on today's comfort and pleasure will not get you there. You must consciously fight against this pull of the present. Remind yourself of your 10-year vision. Ask yourself, will this action I'm about to take move me closer to my long-term goal or further away from it? Without actively practicing long-term thinking, it is far too easy to drift aimlessly through life, and to one day wake up and wonder where all the years went. Another very common mistake is waiting for motivation to strike. So many people have a false belief about motivation. They think they need to feel motivated before they can take action. They say things like, "I'll start studying when I feel inspired," or "I just don't feel motivated to exercise today." But if you wait for motivation to arrive, you might be waiting for a very long time. Motivation is a fickle and unreliable friend. It comes and goes. The truth, discovered by psychologists and high achievers, is that it often works the other way around. Action creates motivation. When you take a small action, even when you don't feel like it, you create a small sense of accomplishment. That feeling of accomplishment then generates motivation to take the next action. For example, you might not feel motivated to study English, but if you force yourself to just open your book and read one paragraph, you might find that after a few minutes, you feel a little more engaged and motivated to continue. The key is to build a habit of discipline, not to rely on the feeling of motivation. Show up and do the work, especially when it feels hard. A third mistake that derails so many people is giving up too soon. We live in a culture that celebrates overnight success stories, but these stories are almost always a myth. We see the final result, but we don't see the years of silent, difficult, and often boring work that went into it. Because of this, we have unrealistic expectations. We try something for a few days or a few weeks, and if we don't see immediate dramatic results, we conclude that it's not working and we quit. This is perhaps the saddest mistake of all. Real, meaningful change takes time. Learning a language, building a business, improving your health. These are long-term projects. You must be patient. There is a concept called the plateau of latent potential. This refers to the period of time when you are putting in the effort every day, but you are not yet seeing any visible results. This is the most dangerous phase, because it's where most people give up. They don't realize that their efforts are accumulating, like pressure building up underground. If they just keep going, they will eventually reach a tipping point and experience a breakthrough. Remember, success is like planting that tree. For a long time it seems like nothing is happening, but underground, the roots are growing deep and strong. You have to trust the process and keep watering the tree. Some people make the opposite mistake. They try to do too much, too soon. When they get excited about a new goal, they adopt an all-or-nothing mentality. They decide they are going to study English for 3 hours a day, go to the gym for 2 hours, and completely change their diet, all at the same time. While this initial burst of enthusiasm is admirable, it is almost always a recipe for burnout and failure. It's simply not sustainable. It is far more effective to start with small, ridiculously easy actions and build from there. Small habits are easier to stick with, and they lead to steady, consistent progress. Instead of trying to change everything at once, just focus on adding one small, positive habit to your life. Once that habit becomes solid, you can add another. Another mistake is failing to have a concrete plan for your daily actions. It's great to have a big goal, but if you don't define what you will actually do each day, it's very easy to get distracted or to forget. A simple plan or to-do list can make a huge difference. At the beginning of each week or each morning, take just 2 minutes to decide on your small action for the day. If your goal is to learn English, your daily plan might be as simple as listen to one 10-minute podcast during my commute. Writing it down makes it real and increases the chances that you will actually do it. This simple act of planning helps you to stay on track and ensures that you are truly acting in days. Finally, a subtle but important mistake is forgetting to celebrate your small successes. When you are focused on a 10-year goal, it's easy to only look at how far you still have to go and to forget to acknowledge the progress you have already made. This can be very discouraging. It's essential to celebrate the small victories along the way. When you successfully finish a chapter in your English book, take a moment to feel proud. When you stick to your exercise habit for a whole week, give yourself a small reward. These small celebrations provide you with positive reinforcement. They give you the energy and confidence you need to keep going on the long journey ahead. So, to avoid these common mistakes, remember these key principles. Actively practice long-term thinking to guide your path. Don't wait for motivation. Take action to create it. Be patient and understand that real results take time. Start small and focus on building sustainable habits. Have a clear, simple plan for your daily actions. And always remember to celebrate your progress along the way. When you steer clear of these common pitfalls, you will find that the philosophy of think in decades, act in days is not just a nice idea. It becomes a reliable and powerful system for achieving success and building a life of purpose and satisfaction. As we bring our conversation to a close today, let's take a moment to hold the most important ideas from our discussion in our minds. The phrase, think in decades, act in days, is more than just a clever saying. It is a powerful and practical guide for living a meaningful, purposeful, and successful life. It teaches us two simple but profoundly important lessons. First, it encourages us to lift our gaze and think about our future, to have big dreams, to create a vision for the next 10 years or more that can serve as our guide, our North Star. And second, it reminds us that the only way to reach that distant destination is by taking small, consistent actions every single day. We don't need to do everything at once. We just need to do something, no matter how small it may seem, each and every day. Thinking in decades gives us perspective. It reminds us that life is a long and beautiful journey, and that the most worthwhile things take time to grow and build. Acting in days gives us power. It allows us to take real, concrete steps forward, one day at a time, turning our dreams into reality. When we weave these two ideas together, we create a strong and steady path toward success. We avoid feeling lost and overwhelmed by our big goals, and we stop waiting for a magical, perfect moment to begin our journey. We simply start where we are, with what we have, and we keep going, day after day. I sincerely hope that our time together in this episode has helped you to deeply understand this idea, and, more importantly, to see how you can begin to use it in your own life. Whether your current goal is to master the English language, to improve your health, to advance in your career, or to achieve any other dream that you hold in your heart, this mindset can be your trusted companion. Remember this fundamental truth: your future is being shaped by the choices you make and the actions you take today. And even the smallest, most humble step can make an enormous difference if you take it consistently, every day. So, here is my final message and my gentle challenge for you today. Don't wait. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to be perfect, or that you need to do something grand and dramatic to get started. Start small. Start now. Take a few quiet moments after this podcast ends. Think about where you truly want to be in 10 years. And then, ask yourself that simple question: what is one small thing I can do today to get there? Maybe it is listening to another short English podcast. Maybe it is reading just one page of a book. Maybe it is going for a 10-minute walk. Or maybe it is simply writing down your goals for the first time. Whatever it is, no matter how small, please do it today. And then, do it again tomorrow. You hold within you the power to create the life you truly want. It all begins with that one small step you take today. You are not alone on this journey. Every successful person you admire has started exactly where you are now. The only difference is that they didn't give up. They kept their vision in mind, and they kept taking those small daily actions. They kept thinking for decades and acting in days. And that is how they turned their beautiful dreams into their reality. Thank you so very much for joining me today and for listening to English in Fluency. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and that you have learned something valuable, both for your English and for your life. If you found this conversation helpful, please consider sharing it with your friends or family who are also on their English learning journey. And if you would like to hear more podcasts like this one, please be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our weekly episodes. Remember, every single day is a brand new opportunity to move a little closer to your dreams. So please, take that one small step today. Think in decades, act in days, and watch as your life begins to change, little by little, for the better. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.